Hi everyone! We're going to talk about order of operations, and this can also be referred to sometimes as PEMDAS, and we'll talk in a moment about why it's called that. If you recall from the video that we just watched, order of operations basically says that each operation has a job, and all of these operations come together as a group, kind of like a superhero group like the Avengers. And the only way that they can use their powers is by going in a certain order. So first you have parentheses, then exponents, then multiplication and division, then addition and subtraction. So this order is very important in order for this team to get their job done. So here we've got a nice little reference sheet that tells you what each of the letters stands for. And like we were saying before, right here is the first letter of each of the operations, and that spells out what we call an acronym. It's a word that helps you remember the order, and that is PEMDAS. So, this is also in Google Drive if you want to print this out to remind yourself, but let's go through each one. First one is parentheses, and we see these as these symbols right here. They're also called grouping symbols. So anything that is inside these grouping symbols is going to be what you do first. The next step are exponents. So exponents are these tiny little numbers right here. You can see it, that tiny 3 is an exponent. And what that exponent tells you is that you take the base number, which in this case is 8, you multiply it by itself 3 times. And in this case, 8 times 8 times 8 multiplies out to be 512. So that would tell us that 8 to the third power is also equal to 512. The next step is multiplication and division. So when you have a problem and you're on this step, you're going to look for multiplication or division. If you have both, what you need to do is you need to look at what comes first when you're moving from left to right. So whatever is closer to this side, you're going to do first. And as you move down the problem, you're going to go in that order. So multiplication or division, whichever comes first from left to right. And lastly, we have addition and subtraction, which is the same concept as multiplication and division. You want to do addition or subtraction, whichever comes first as you move from left to right. So whatever is on this side of the problem, you're going to do first, and then you keep going in order from left to right. Another thing we've put in Google Drive for you is the same type of handout, except this time on the side, you can see that it has an example problem. So the problem to begin with is this right here. 9 squared divided by 2 plus 14 times, in parentheses, 11 minus 2, end parentheses, minus 15. Okay, so you can print this out to help yourself remember the steps. I think all we're going to do right now is to point out where the different parts of the problem are. So in the first part of this example, we can see the parentheses are right here, 11 minus 2. And 11 minus 2 is 9, and that replaced itself into the problem right there. And then at the next step, we were looking for exponents. So the exponent is right here. And 9 squared, remember, is 9 times 9. That is 81. That's why 81 goes right there. And then we were looking at multiplication and division. So in this step, it picks up right here. And we need to look at the division part. So multiplication and division, whichever comes first, going from left to right. So the first one I see right here is this division. So 81 divided by 3 gives me 27. Now I'm going to look through that line, and I see multiplication is right there. 14 times 9 is 126. And so all we're doing throughout this whole process is taking this very long problem and breaking it up into little pieces so that it creates this shorter problem that's a little easier to solve. Then at the next step, we're going to pick up right down here, and we're going to do addition or subtraction, whichever one comes first when you're moving from left to right. So in this case, that is this part of the problem. 27 plus 126 is 153. And then 153 minus 15 gives you 138 as the final answer. So this is in Google Drive if you want just one example to print out and have with you. All right, another thing that we've put in Google Drive for you are these PEMDAS checklists. And this will just kind of help you keep track of what step you're on. And as you go through, you can check off the different steps that you've taken. So if you're done with parentheses, you check that off. Exponents, multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. And if you notice, we've also put in these little reminders of what the different parts might look like in your problem. So hopefully that's helpful.